Good morning, everybody. We're live. You know, I don't usually do the MTFU Longevity Podcast so early in the morning, even though I'm up really early. My good friend, all the way from India, very innovative and successful and famous young fellow, just doing what he does, not even trying to assume such lofty positions, but just by his actions and the number of people he helps, he has really risen in the often confusing world of health and fitness. Jitendra Chouksey, JC, it's all we have to know. Really, really good guy. I was telling him, we were off camera, I says, JC, be good to yourself because you remind me of me when he's 20 years younger than me. I said, you don't run yourself into the ground helping all these people. And he won't because he's still in great shape. But JC runs a couple of companies. And basically it started out as something called Squats. It is now Fitter. He's going to explain all of this. But he's in India, and his ultimate goal is to get 50 million people healthy. And I think he'll do that. I think he'll exceed himself in doing that because he's chipping away and he's surrounding himself with really good people. Hi, David Fader. How are you, man? Good to see you here this morning. And listen, I'm just very impressed and happy that he exists because he's out there doing good work. He's going counter to the nefarious cancers that eat at society and hold us back. There's no doubt you can go out, at least here in America, and you can go out and you listen. Part of good health is looking at a person and how they look. And I know it sounds kind of lousy, but sometimes that's the only barometer we have. And people are much larger now. My business is longevity. This is the MTFU Longevity Podcast, as you know, and longevity. And JC works on longevity too for people. Longevity is aging without getting old. Well, what is getting old? It's cell death, and we're trying to fight that all the time. You want to feel like the way you did when you were 18, when you're 68. Now, there's no reason not to be able to do that, and we'll go into some details here. But it's very important because we're really, really losing that as a society. And something else that's happening is people are getting so far afield from good shape that feeling lousy is normal. So the biofeedback from me, like JC, is always in good shape from what I could see. I know he's been in some contests, some physique contests, and he's looked very good, and he's been in the winner's circle. But just because he's not necessarily competing in these things anymore, he still maintains his physicality, which is what life's all about. So we try to proffer that to people. Just because you got the big house and the kids in the car and the job and all the obligations, you cannot lose yourself. So I think that's one of the messages that JC delivers with his company. A lot of cool, he does, JC's a guy who does a lot of cool things. He looks kind of like a superhero, and people listen to him, and he's consistent, and he's trusted, and he's one of these people can gravitate to, and I think that's very important. And I want to thank you for your time, young squire.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's an honor, doctor, and I think we've been friends for quite some time now on Facebook, and we've been interacting on and off.
I feel really bad. I missed you in New York City a couple of years ago, and I was going to show you some good. I was going to show you some good Italian food on Mulberry Street, but next time. And you were in California. You're traveling. You're over at MIT, right?
Yeah, I was there. In fact, I was there for Y Combinator very recently, but I just quit it and came back to India much before.
Yeah, I noticed that it wasn't fitting your narrative as far as what you do. Yeah. Well, you try things, and I think that's good because sometimes people go through the motions because they think they're supposed to do something, but if it doesn't feel right, you should always try to abandon that if you could. Thank you. A lot of people are joining us. We're harboring your questions, of course. A lot of you know JC, and a lot of you listen. This is an opportunity to get the guy's ear and maybe entertain some questions here. So if you have anything, you could join in. So tell us, you started working out, you're in India, you're working a tech job, and what happened? Did you start out as somebody who was not in very good shape, or how did that all start for you?
So yeah, I was working as a ERP consultant in tech company. I worked in different companies, worked with IBM, worked with L&T, a couple of other companies, and was working for SAP ERP systems. I think fitness for me was always more of trying to keep myself fit, and over the years I saw how my lifestyle got worse, and although I've been working out for 20 years, you know how you get in a job and then all you care about is just your family and your job. and then you somehow your health gets sidetracked. So I was just trying to get back to it. I shifted to one of the metro cities in India, and then started taking good care of myself. And some people started noticing me in the gym where I was working out, and they wanted me to help them. So I created a small WhatsApp group and just started sharing with them about the few things that I learned over the years. It was just quantified nutrition and resistance training. And of course, these guys, they've been doing, their exercise, they've been eating right for so many years, but because they were not quantifying and they did not apply the basic principles, they were not getting the desired results. And all I did was just educate them. And within a couple of months, when they started seeing results, they told other people about this. And soon I was getting flocked by, several people who wanted to learn about fitness from me. And that's how it all started.
So I'll have you explain the tenets of the quantified nutrition, because that's interesting. So at first it was just, you were just helping people out, just sharing information. It wasn't really a business per se, right?
No, it wasn't.
When did you, were you unhappy in the business you were in, or you were just going through the motions? You thought it was okay, or, before you started your company?
I had no clue that I will ever start a fitness company, or any company for that matter. To be very honest, I always thought that I was not cut out for businesses. I'd always settle down in jobs. I was pretty happy with my job, but when I started helping all these people for free, and we created this WhatsApp group, we created a Facebook group, and when I started sharing all this information, and more people started coming up, they started thanking me when they were transforming. It felt like, this is exactly where I belong. So we ran this entire community, the fitter community. And at one point of time, I think there were roughly 50,000 plus people who were, talking to each other on a regular basis about fitness and nutrition. I felt there was this huge sense of responsibility towards these people. And it was more fun than the job that I was doing. And so it just happened. And that's why I call myself an accidental entrepreneur.
That's awesome. And see, that's counterintuitive. People think work and fun. Are you insane? In fact, I think some employees are afraid to show their bosses that they're having fun because maybe they won't get paid. In India right now, are you like a famous figure? Do people notice? They know who you are when you're walking around town and whatnot? A little bit. If people come up to me around here and they say, "Are you Dr. Chouksey?" I just ask them why. Did I hurt somebody? Do I owe you money? I joke around with them. So when did it start to become? When did you start to think that, hey, this is viable? I can make this into a business and leaving your job.
So I started in 2013 and 2014, and by 2015, end of December, that's when I realized that, okay, this is good. And a lot of people are asking me to personally train them. Clearly, I didn't want to train them personally. So I said, maybe instead of me training these people, if I can educate some people who can train these people. So the idea was...
Excuse me, I knew this would happen. You've attracted the very famous Tanya Knight, very famous female bodybuilder from back in the Joe Weider days. Hi, Tanya, how are you? You're going to be on the show soon. I know I've been chasing you down. I'm sorry, JC. I have to acknowledge certain people, occasionally.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, continue.
So yeah, the idea was that instead of me trying to train hundreds of people, if I just educate some people who can become coaches, and then they can train other people, that way I don't have to personally charge anybody for this, because I was doing it purely out of passion. And I just didn't feel like taking money from anybody for making them fit. I just could not get my head around the fact that somebody has to pay me to just share some information with them. And so we created...
You didn't, but you saw the value in it, of course, right?
I saw that how this could be scaled, and that a lot of people can get jobs, and right. Because there will be a lot of people who will be getting jobs, we can probably reach many more people. Plus
that's see, some people look at that attitude as being altruistic, and they almost don't believe it. But I know, because I see I watch and I see the interactions, but that's the only way to do it, to build and to make the people, it's called strengthening your sphere of influence. And your sphere of influence is very broad now. You've got, how many members do you have? Do you have a handle on that? How many you have right now?
Collectively over 850,000.
850,000. That's unbelievable, really. And Are they all people who are assigned to a coach, or a lot of people are just, they're there just to observe or glean information?
No, so the entire community works on a freemium model, wherein we help people for free. If anybody is looking for any kind of help, we give them free diet and training plans. We review their exercises, we review their diet plans. We help them with thousands of recipes and articles. But if somebody at some point of time feels that they need to have someone who they can be accountable to, or somebody who can monitor their progress and make corrections, that's when they go for a coach. So roughly 20% of the people are currently under a coach.
Wow, that's still that's a lot of people. It really is. So you obviously have a very good team around you with that number of people to maintain quality, right? Because, having high numbers is one thing, but you want the key is to proffer the same quality throughout, consistent experience with each person, no matter what, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have over 200 plus coaches right now, and collectively the team is roughly 350 plus people.
Wow, that's very impressive. We got a lot of people joining in now, and just so you know, if you have any questions for JC, you could ask them now, because we're kind of, I don't want to say we're winging this, but we're here for you, and it's all about putting out good information. We disseminate information. Me as a physician here in Connecticut, remember, I don't give any advice. I just disseminate information because, well, that's a question I have for you. If somebody's working with a coach online and they can't actually physically meet with them, and let's say they have an issue like diabetes or something like that, is it harder to advise them because it's more medical advice, or how do you address that?
Well, we don't call ourselves dietitians or nutrition experts. What we do is we merely provide them suggestions, and we have specific doctors. So we have doctors in our panels who are then recommended to come in, and if somebody is suffering from any sort of medical issues, we strictly make sure that they only connect with the coaches who are doctors too. So we have, I think, roughly 10 doctors who are also coaches.
Well, that's good. So you've got that covered. And who is your average client or member, and what's like the age bracket, and what's the average goal? I know it's kind of hard to answer this, but is it weight loss? Is it strengthening? Is it just feeling better, improving their health, getting back at somebody? Sometimes.
I think majority of the people who are out there, they're looking for weight loss because, for the lack of better word, in reality, they're just looking for getting leaner. But generally, people think losing weight is their ultimate goal, which often they come to realize that it's not. But yeah, if I have to say who are the primary customers, people who are looking for weight loss and people who are trying to get rid of their existing lifestyle diseases. So.
Okay, and so what's the age bracket? Do you have anybody like my age in their 50s, or is it mostly 20s, 30s?
I'd say between 70% of the people are between the age bracket of 25 to 40. But you have people who are also as young as 19-year-old and as old as 88-year-old. So you have, yeah.
I got one guy who's 85. He's a former Mr. Universe. He used to compete against Arnold. That's our, I don't like to use the word oldest, but he's the furthest along. I think that's important because a lot of times society will look at older people and think that they just don't count or they don't care. But I think everybody wants to feel good and look good and have energy and be their best. I think that's important. So as far as the nutrition goes, do you have a basic premise that you follow as far as nutrition goes? If you could explain the quantified factor that you incorporate.
Right. So I think nutrition and fitness means different things to different people. But if you have to fundamentally tell people what fitness is, and which is my own personal definition, I think fitness is basic body hygiene, and similarly, good nutrition and good diet would basically inculcate habits such as eating right and moving more. That's at the base of it. When we talk about quantified nutrition, it's nothing but measuring what you're eating. So quantifying your calories, measuring your daily energy expenditure, and then accordingly working out. So let's say your maintenance calories are 2,500 calories. If you want to lose weight, you reduce some calories. If you want to gain weight, you increase some calories. And then you add in your energy expenditure through NEAT or resistance training or any other different means of training. And that's pretty much what we do. So we just make sure that everything is assessed, everything is tracked on a weekly basis, and then we make course adjustments accordingly. So primarily the calories in versus calories out.
So, life is math, and I agree. It comes down to math, doesn't it? Numbers. It does. As straightforward as that sounds. A couple of comments, and this is directed towards you. It has to be. Good morning, handsome man. I know you're married with a daughter, right?
I do.
Yeah, we're not going to get you in trouble. Don't worry. But hey, listen, people are still going to behold your splendor. Hi, JC. Hey, JC. A bunch of people saying hello to you. You got a lot of people. Good morning, gentlemen. Great work you're doing, JC. That's my friend Felix. The last contest I ever competed in, Felix defeated me. He's always here to remind me of that. That was a long time ago. I think I was 40. You haven't even seen 40 yet. Some people say, they say, Doc, a kid in the gym called me old champ. I says, old champ. I says, it beats the alternative, because if you're not old, that means you're gone. So, JC, you hold a lot of events and whatnot, but you also hold for new members, and I don't know if you're still doing this, but you hold meetups where you pretty much teach them how their course is going to run. What is that like? The people sit down, they're out of shape. What do you teach them in those meetups?
Well, largely the meetups are, they used to be, before the whole COVID situation happened, we used to meet in different cities. We used to talk about how we can add more value to society. And initially, it was just me delivering seminars, but then we had people all over the world. And so we have admin groups, and these admins are the ones now who hold seminars on strength, who hold seminars on how fitness is really important and how it's really simple. Most of the people have this wrong perception that fitness is only reserved for sort of luxury. Yeah. And we have to tell people that fitness is not luxury. It's basic necessity. It's basic hygiene. And so, most of these seminars, most of these sessions are typically revolve around just busting some popular myths, telling people how easy it is to stay fit and, staying fit for the right reasons. And once you get the fitness thing out of, it's taken care of, you can focus on much bigger, more important things in your life. So that's what these sessions and seminars are all about. And most of the times we just discuss about how we can, as a group, as a community, make the society, better, and how, we can provide more jobs and how we can make more and more people. So
I think that's great. And, in practice with patients, we always want to attract people with reducing their pain so they can play golf, play with their grandkids, run, dance. And once we attract them with things they want, we give them what they need, which is, if you try to attract them with, healthy lungs and heart, they're not buying that because they say they do. But once we get them in, then we give them what they need. It seems you do that too, which I think is very, very good. So you have these challenges. I see all the time people posting before and afters, pre and posts, and you award, very like motorcycles, generating money. I mean, hey, listen, Martin Luther King said it himself. He said, it's wonderful to do good things, but without money, it's very hard. So, that's a reality. And some people think, you'll hear, because I'm sure I've got to assume, because you've risen, and once you do, you probably get some negativity directed at you. Is that true?
It happens. Like I think, but it's not just people who rise. It's also the people at the bottom. I think at all levels, people always get some sort of negativity. So I think I don't really pay attention to that. And over the last few years, I've developed a really thick skin, so it doesn't bother me anymore.
Oh yeah, no, you'll develop. It'll always sting you a little. I got people that want to kill me and things. I always use this story, but it's kind of repeated. This one guy's big, gigantic. He's going to meet me at the Arnold Classic, which I don't go to the Olympia, but he wants to break me in two. And then I tell him, well, then there'll be two of me. You don't want that, But why would you want? I'm like you. I'm trying to offer information that's helpful. My approach sometimes is maybe a little acerbic, but I just want to deliver the information because in this fitness space, it's very hard to be heard because there's so many people. And, you're probably fighting. You do things scientifically. I can see that. You're probably fighting a lot of misinformation. Is that true? And do you see that in your clients and the people working with you?
It was a lot of hustle. It was a lot of struggle when we started off. It was literally like I used to get threats from people, but then you can't beat results. And so, like if you look at the kind of results that we have produced, we just grew completely by word of mouth. We don't do any kind of advertisement. We don't spend any money on marketing.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Like, literally zero. Yeah, we don't do any sort of marketing. In fact, I'm a very anti-marketing kind of guy. I personally feel that all the money that people waste on marketing could be just used to better your services or used to better the life of your clients or employees. Because if you look at the companies, I personally don't understand the way people do businesses these days. My logic is very simple. You give people what they're looking for, and that's good business.
Well, you're what is known as an iconoclast, meaning you do not adhere to societal standards and norms. It's probably why you do very well. And like you said, nothing beats results. That's an inborn marketing system that you don't have to pay for, because people are going to be out there. They're going to see the results. How'd you do this, JC? And they're just going to, and that's how it works, because what you do is real. But what I meant was, you answered the question, but also, do you have to fight a lot of misinformation that people have already picked up from other, experts, and then they come in and they're just so indoctrinated to what's wrong? I mean, how do you surmount that?
So initially, and we used to be really anal about how everything that we were doing was important and people need to hear about it. Over a period of time, as I grew, as my understanding grew, I realized I cannot help everybody, and people evolve in their own time. And sometimes even when they are suffering, it really is important for them to suffer, because through that suffering comes a lot of learning. And when people suffer and learn, they are more open, more open to learning new things. Otherwise, it's just you are banging your head against the wall. So been there, done that, and now we have settled that anybody who is looking for help, we are going to help them. If people are not looking for help, they can do whatever they want.
I like that. And, I like when you smile, because you have this big company and it can wear you down, but you seem genuinely happy. Two things. Well, the marketing end right there, you don't have to do that. And that's a good thing. But believe it or not, when you do market, you want to speak to people's pain. What you're doing is find what's painful and offer solutions that correct that pain. And that's what you do. And you didn't have to pay some big, wasteful company, tens of thousands of dollars to do that, which I think is very good and it's very telling. What would you say is the future? Well, let's not get to that yet. You've contracted with Sunil Shetty, who is he like one of the biggest stars in Bollywood?
He is.
If you were to compare him to Hollywood, is he like right up there with like a Stallone type of guy, or Mel Gibson or something like that?
He's kind of like Stallone for Bollywood. Yeah, you can say that.
Now, so how did that come to pass? Because he's invested in your company, right?
All right. So we were talking to one of his the guy who runs his company is the CEO, Karan. So we were talking to him about a possible script that we could work on, and surprisingly, Karan was part of the fitter community, so he already knew about all the things that we were doing, and he just called me and said, Mr. Shetty would like to speak to you, and we spoke at length for an hour, and then we realized how he has been trying to make people fit for so many years, and he's 60 now. So
wow.
Yeah, he's 60. He's
I'm only 4 years away, so
yeah. So and of course, like you, he's really fit, takes good care of himself. He's like really cut and 30 waist. So he's that kind of a guy who's.
I don't mean to interrupt, but you know what people will say about movie stars? They'll say, well, that's their job. I'm like, well, actually, that should be everybody's job, because that's your true house, right?
Absolutely.
That comes first. And it's interesting because I interview a lot of top level people, and you never know who's watching you and watching what you're doing. And a lot of times they're quiet. And I talked to one guy recently, and he's a real high level guy. And but he was telling me all about my business, what he's been watching and whatnot. And you'll move people. I will guarantee you this. You have a lot of people who they don't join, they don't necessarily pay, they don't contract with one of your coaches, but they'll watch the information that you proffer for years, and they'll lose 100 pounds after 2 years, and then they come forth and they'll say thank you. Right? Does that I bet you that happens, right?
Happens.
That's when you know what you're doing is real, because it's not always going to be to the forefront. A lot of people are just quiet, and they're kind of embarrassed. It's very hard to get a person to open their wallet and give you money, and it's very hard, for a person who they're really depleted, depressed. Nobody speaks a kind word to them. They don't see any. There's no self-love, so they let themselves go. And every day they drive by the gym and they're afraid to go in there. And instead they go and they get a pizza and they eat that whole thing at home. And if you could break that vicious cycle, which you are doing, that's very, very powerful. I mean, you see a lot of that, right?
Yeah, I think it's also the fact that we have built this amazing community, and somehow I feel that some of the guys who were not so lucky as me fail to address this very important part, that fitness has to become part of everybody's lifestyle. It shouldn't be looked upon as a luxury or something which is only accessible to people who are actors, or it's like you rightly pointed out, some people think it's their job. No, it's everybody's job. Staying fit is like taking a shower every single day, and I cannot I cannot stress how important it is to clean yourself, just like you take a shower to clean your skin, to clean your you clean your teeth, you brush your teeth, all these things you do, it's the same. And so
I'm going to tell you, in America here, I love America. I don't speak bad. Listen, everything has good and bad. So I think the world is what you make of it. But you go in a food store here, and it's set up for failure. I tell people, avoid the crunchy center, stay on the out periphery where, you got your vegetables, your meats, your healthy stuff, and all the bad stuff's in the middle. In India, in general, what's the availability of what you would consider healthy food and the accessibility? Is it good? Is it difficult to get just the right nutrients for the average person?
I think absolutely everything is available. So we have had people in the group who didn't pay us a single dime. They just stayed in the group. People who didn't have access to like a lot of luxury food, which is supposedly healthy, they built amazing physique by just eating rice and soya and tofu, and even a lot of vegetarian. So the thing is, it shouldn't be considered something which you only get when you have access to high quality food. I mean, the food is all around us. What's more important is consistently doing the same thing every single day without failing. I mean, a lot of people depend solely on variety of food. Like it's good to have variety of food, but if it's not available, you still can eat right within whatever you have. So I think from a geographic perspective, from the sheer size of the population that we have, I'd still go ahead and say that most people can easily eat what is right for them. They don't have any obligation to get unfit.
Right.
People can.
I like that obligation to get unfit. It's almost, that's a very telling statement. It's almost dialed into society now. Well, speaking of being consistent, I always say the body thrives on regularity. Like my food, very, very. Look, to me, eating, I eat for fuel, and I think you do too, because I watch you and I watch what you say. I eat for fuel. And, listen, the problem now in society is eating has become a big social staple. And, you've always, what are we going to eat? And it's always centered, instead of just eating, like, for instance, I offer that you should never feel hungry. You should never feel full. You should always kind of be, I mean, in other words, your homeostasis is such that you don't really notice how you feel. You feel good, but it's not like you're always noticing, I don't feel like I ate enough, or I ate too much and I'm falling asleep. And I think that's a psychological thing that's been indoctrinated into people. But you said eating consistently. Well, how about, like, again, I don't really like to push this, but cheat meals. Do you put that into the programs for people? Like, you give them little departures here and there where they can eat what they want?
Well, the coaches are definitely far more lenient than I am. The idea is to building in behavioral changes over a period of time, because somebody comes in who's never had this kind of experience. They cannot suddenly go from X to Y, in a matter of days. So for them, what we have is a very slow and steady kind of program, setting in the right kind of goals. And it's all about habits, Doc. If you think about it, most people think that, they're going to transform in 3 months, 6 months, and that's it. That's wrong mindset. I think they should not think from, a specific goal. I mean, you don't really set a goal when you're brushing your teeth or taking a shower every single day. You just do it.
Right. That's absolutely correct. And if you could change people's thinking to just dial it in, you do it with your group. You don't expect, people don't want to join the group and they're not buying it. Listen, if someone comes to me, especially when we had the clinic, and they'll come up to a guy like you and they'll say, hey, JC, I'm thinking about doing this and that. Right away, they're not committed. You can tell you have to be almost like a crazed person when you do this. It's got to be, it's all or nothing, right?
I mean, that takes time. That takes time. So, if you look at what WHO means health is, they say a state of physical, mental, social, and economical well-being. And I personally feel that most of the people can never get over the fact about food, and once you let these habits take control of you, you will never reach that mental state. No. So I think it's really important for people to transition from the sense of physical well-being to mental well-being, and then they can focus on the other aspects even better. So in my personal opinion, if you're truly trying to become healthy, you should start addressing these things as if they are plain vanilla.
We're gonna diverge. I want to talk about the mind in a second, but Saurav Singh, I hope I'm getting these. I'm pretty good at names. Saurav Singh, he has a question for you. What would be because you're really, one of the things I admire is you provided so many jobs and changed so many lives, and that not just the people working on their bodies, but you've given people jobs where they're helping people and feeling so good. They're earning money, good money, and they're also really, it's not like they're just pushing pushing a button at a factory, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they're really affecting change in another person's physicality, which to me is the number one thing. But he asks to you, JC, what would be your suggestions for people looking forward to a career in the fitness industry? Saurabh, thank you for your question.
I think there's a huge opportunity, and the great thing about fitness industry is that it's a job you generally love. Like, how many people get a chance to do the jobs they actually end up loving? Like, I love my job. I can't think of myself doing something else now. Right?
I'm going to tell you, it's not even a job with you. It's who you are, right?
That's who I am, exactly. And
no, I interrupted you. You could finish on that for Saurabh there.
No, it's okay. So I think it's pretty much how the coaches feel. But if you really love so much, you have to understand what is it that you love really about fitness. If you're really passionate about fitness, if you're really passionate about making a career in this, you have to understand what it takes to make an amazing career. Compassion and care. These are the two main important things which will make you a good coach. And if you lack these things, the technical knowledge, look, a lot of people have amazing technical knowledges, but they are not often the best of the best coaches. Being a coach means that you understand the person who's there and you walk them, like you literally handhold them and walk them from point A to point B. So you cannot be biased. You cannot be rigid in your approach. You cannot be like the know-it-all kind of a guy. You have to step into their shoes, understand what they're going through. And that's a lot of psychological issues. Maybe for you, the issues are not big, but for the people who are going through these issues, for them, it's probably big, right? So you have to literally walk in their shoes, understand what they're going through, and then find out possible solutions, work with them. And unless until you treat them like your own kids, unless until you really, really take care of them, you are not a good coach.
One moment. Lavina, Madan, Absolutely agree, JC. You are rocking. Lavina, he is one of the best businessmen I know, and I mean that in a caring way, not in a cold, clinical, money-making way, because he does that too. But as long as you got the compassion. Somebody approaches your company. Let's say Saurabh wants to work for you. What do you? Not that he does, but what do you tell him?
Well, we have a standardized procedure. We have we accept international certifications, which we feel comply with our coaching standards. So we have INFS, we have Bayesian bodybuilding, and then we have PTC. Also now allowing for NASM and ACSM. So if you are certified from any of these recognized bodies, you go through a FTP, which is the free training program, where we collect feedback about your training, how good is your communication skills, are you regularly taking feedback, are you guiding them with the right kind of information. After that, we judge your own fitness levels and transformation, and then based on all the information available, we do a personal interview, and if you crack that personal interview, you're on board.
Pretty thorough. So just gleaning from what you just said, so it's important that you yourself, I'm not going to say how you look, but you exude the tenets of good health and physicality, right? In other words, if a person, again, I'm very careful with this because everybody counts, everybody matters. And sometimes people think, the people who don't look closely at things will say, you're making fun of fat people. I'm like, not at all. I just look at a person I look at a person who's maybe 300 pounds. And I think of what's under there, and they could be so much better. And so, in other words, they probably wouldn't be able to work for you if they're that out of shape, if they're not practicing the ideas that they're trying to espouse.
Well, not really. So we allow them, we encourage them, and a lot of people are not really, fit as in really, really fit. There are some coaches, but they have had remarkable transformation. The idea is, how do you inculcate these values in the society? How can I teach my kid to be an honest person if I'm a liar? So it's about that. Fitness is not necessarily selling a product. It's about incorporating good habits. How can I teach somebody good habits if I don't have those good habits? And the thing about fitness is, it's not fake. If you are really inculcating the same values as you are preaching others, you are bound to get results. Nobody in this world can say, hey, I'm getting up 6 a.m, I'm working out and eating clean, and I'm still not looking fit enough. I don't buy that. No. That's not how your body works. If you follow the principles that you're telling people, you absolutely, you will get results, and it will show on your body.
If somebody tells you that, good friend of mine, Gordon Falsetti, he's one of the top trainers here in America. And he told me he could always tell. They'll give somebody a program just like you guys do with your members and clients. And they'll come back sometimes and they'll say, well, I can't do this, or this is not happening, or I can't gain weight, I can't lose fat. Almost invariably, they're not following through on something, whether they know it ostensibly or not. Would you agree on that? There's just, because everybody can improve, right? Some people like to say, I just can't do it, right?
Absolutely. I think all of us, we can go through different routes, but the fact that we are not improving every single day, that's just wrong. It's a universal law. When you put in some efforts, you're bound to get results. It's a universal law. So
something should happen, right? It's like when I had patients with back pain, well, I give them some instructions to practice at home. One of 3 things happens when you do this with a patient. They either get better, they get worse, or nothing happens. Now, you want them to get better. If nothing happens, that means they didn't follow instructions. I don't care what anyone says. I'd rather see them get worse. Not that I want them to get worse, but that means they invoked what we instructed them to try. And that only means we have to change it up a little. Ali Engineer, who I think is a pretty I see his name all the time. We've been talking, Ali. Is that really his last name, Engineer, or is that just like kind of a Facebook name?
Nah, he's a fake.
Okay. We've been taught to eat our daily regular food, just macro measured. That makes it extremely easy to follow diets. I lost 44 kilograms. What's that, about 100 pounds, 90, 95 pounds? Under JC's guidance, he's not charged me a dime. Now, listen, everyone, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to get things for free, because nothing is real. Listen, you know why that's not free? Because Ali just came on here and gave a testimonial, and people are going to read. So really, he's kind of paying you back by saying that. But you know of his. Was he one of your early people?
He's one of my first few people who helped me build Fitter. He was the one who, when he lost weight, he told everybody, like his entire clan, and we had so many clients after that.
Well, like I said, you have thousands of people, so I recognize his name. He's on there a lot, and that's fantastic. And the thing is, he sustained his change over time, right?
Yeah.
Do you see high recidivism with people, like people, gaining the weight back and losing it? Does that happen to a high degree?
It happens, and like I said, Doc, again, this is all a matter of habits. Why people come to us, and it's been an enlightening journey for personally me as well. When I first started Fitter, I was very stubborn about how everybody needs to get fit, and do this, do that. But over a period of time, working with hundreds of thousands of people, I realized that it's not about diet and training. It's about small habits. It's about when you stop talking about something, like we don't discuss shower, right?
Right.
We don't discuss brushing our teeth, right? And yet it's an invaluable part of our life. We cannot imagine going a day without taking a shower or brushing our teeth. It's just a part of our life. And so fitness has to become a part of our life, and the change has to be very subtle, and it has to be embedded in the subconscious. When people start thinking of fitness as a daily ritual rather than something which they have to look forward to or which they have to put a sacrifice to. When people say they are sacrificing their time to get fit, I say that's BS. I mean, you never say, hey, I sacrificed half an hour in the shower, right?
No, I hope not. Let me ask you, and these are general questions, but listen, when we're dealing with this many people, we have to stay rather general. Would you say that, like the bodybuilders, I have a lot of pro bodybuilders, legendary guys, and when somebody builds themselves up with a ton of muscle, there's always something that makes them do that that's not necessarily pleasant. Maybe they grew up very hard, or they were abused, or they just had a lot of lack, and it made them punish themselves. That being said, when you get clients who are out of shape, whatever it might be, is there a psychological component, maybe incorporating sadness or depression or just being beat down by society? And if that's the case, I think I know that you would understand that has to be attended to before they can correct their physicality. I mean, do you address that?
Absolutely.
Before JC, keep that in your head. Let me just read. Got a lot of people now. Rahul Arya, Arya. Good evening, sir. In India now, things are changing through online guidance. Online coach, I have told all coaches in gym, work out steroids. You cannot build steroids. I took this challenge, and now since a year, I'm focusing on my diet. JC, sir, said brushing and bathing is important. I want to grab a certified knowledge plus change my overall outlook and change people's outlook to fitness irrespective of age, gender, sex. Well, you're doing it, Rahul, and thanks for being here, man. I think JC helps people attend to their civic responsibility. What do I mean by that? Here in America, our federal healthcare deficit is $150 billion, and if people would just take better care of themselves, we'd free up that money for other things, because this is controllable. It's not like you were born too short. You're born with a genetic, you're going to get multiple sclerosis and you can't help it. This is controllable. Nish Jain, agree with JC, amazing job. Have been following him in Squats Fitter for 3 to 4 years. Yash Kaushik, it's not a program, it's a lifestyle. That's good right there. It's a lifestyle. That's what you can say.
Yeah, he's one of our coaches. Yash is one of our coaches, so he's watching the.
When I see that, and I profess this to some people I work with, I don't like using the word diet. I say eating style, because diet in people's head, it starts and it ends, right? It's well circumscribed. They can't wait. And he just kind of said that. Program could be diet. You can't wait for it to be over. Lifestyle, everybody wants to have a lifestyle, right? But going back to the mental part with, people being, tumult or sadness, I mean, do you address that somehow to try to at least manage it?
I think as people are coming online, connecting online, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. As people in India live in large families, there's also a lot of misunderstandings. I think what is happening is people want to say so much, but nobody is there to listen to them. So what we as a community have done is we have given them a voice, and we have told them, you have a story, share your problems, and we are listening without judging you. So I think once you start giving that necessary support, and where people no longer are scared of being judged, or no longer are scared of failing, they somehow start fixing things. And there's hundreds of examples in a fitter community where people who came in and they say, I'm depressed, I somehow have suicidal thoughts, and I don't think I'd be able to do something. And then over the period of years, in the last 4 or 5 years, you see how these people have transformed. They have become mentally better, they have become physically better, all because there was an entire community which was there to support them, not to bring them down. And I think this is what people don't understand. Together we can do much more than we can by fighting each other. And this is not even, I mean, it's basic law, it's a universal law. If you work together in a group, you can achieve so many more things than if you just stand alone and keep fighting everybody. And it's a very basic, simple thing which people
that walking alone thing. I've been sick a couple of times in my life, very sick and injured, and in the hospital. I became homeless many years ago, and I was so down. I had this mantra that I used to follow, which was wrong. When adversity comes, you walk alone, and that might be true, but you've got to get out of that. You can't accept that. Some people think alone you will never ever reach the heights that you might do well, but you not like what you've done, or maybe even what I've done. If you don't like what I built, I consider you a member of my advisory board. Now, if I have an issue that you have mastery in, I call upon you, because I don't know everything. You need some good, real smart people that offer what you can't offer, and you put it all together. I agree with that. And I notice on your pages, and I'm like this too, we don't have any perversion. I probably swear too much, but I got to watch out on YouTube now because they kick you off if you swear. So I cut down on that. But we don't have any of the bikini stuff unless somebody's showing progress. It's not frivolous. Nobody is harsh on anyone else. I notice you do that. In other words, it's supportive. Somebody comes on and they speak harshly, you boot them off, and that's very good, because people want to know they can go to like the woman I mentioned who drives by the gym and she's afraid to go in. She thinks people are going to beat down on her, and she's going to just go home and eat. We don't want that. Number one, I don't want that for an individual, and I think it weakens society. I want society to be strong. You know why? Make it strong so I don't have to work as hard. I'm getting older. I'm getting older, and hopefully you'll get older, because what, some people they don't want to get older. I go, well, if you don't get older, you're gone. So you want to embrace that, but you want things to be a little easier. Nish Jain, even my spouse got transformed herself and is a INFS certified nutritionist, working as a nutrition and fitness consultant and helping others to transform. Hitesh Pornikar, JC's, how am I doing on the names? Okay, am I getting them?
You're doing absolutely fine.
JC example of taking a shower. I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that from you. Is just awesome. It will always help to keep exercising and remain fit. So yeah, making people feel comfortable and letting them know that it can be done. But what do you do with people who have unrealistic expectations? You probably get them too.
Yeah, I mean, you always have people who have unrealistic expectations, and sometimes people come and complain how they were supposed to lose 20 kgs, but they only lost 10. I think that's when everybody, whether they're right or wrong, everybody deserves an avenue where they can be heard, and half of the problem can be solved just there. You don't shun people down because they're right or they're wrong. You just let them speak, and then you talk to them. And once you talk to them, you realize that the anger is coming down. And so when I was younger, when I was more stupider, I used to shut people down, and because I was so fierce with my arguments and logical these things. But over a period of time, I just realized that, hey, people are looking for an avenue to express. They just want to speak. They just want to be heard. And all you can do is just provide them that avenue. Sometimes, I let people shout on me or be angry at me. so that they can calm down. And that's perfectly fine, because they're not really angry at me. They are angry at probably someone or something. But
when you were younger like me, you may have pushed them away, but I get that too. And I always, someone will say, well, get rid of that guy. I'm like, no. I'm going to try to win him over, because maybe he's having a bad day. Maybe he's speaking and it's reflective of, you're doing really well. And people, what happens in their head, hey, Benny Amarone, how are you, my friend? Good morning, guys. One of my oldest patients for many, many years. Thanks for all the information. They see you doing very well, and they're thinking in their head, why am I not doing that well? He must be cheating somehow, or whatever they might think. So they lash out at you. But see, everybody has value, almost everybody. Some people just have to go, and that's it. So I try to win them over. Even if they've really transgressed, I give them one chance. You can't have somebody who's always causing discord every day, and making other people afraid to open up. JC always sets an example. This is Nandini Bishwanath. JC always, I don't mean to laugh. It's just, these names are challenging. Very important to get names correctly. I teach at university, and I've run contests where I'm the MC. And you know what? Don't screw people's names up. They've worked all year. They're trying to go up there. They've worked their entire life, and then you can't even speak their name properly. And that's like the worst thing. JC always set an example and inspires us every day to lead a healthy life. I had recovered from my lifestyle disorders, and I'm leading a healthy life. Fitness is my lifestyle now. Bismaya Behira in India, and my family also. The normal diet is carb-based, but after we joined Fitter, our lifestyle changed, understood, and this is the whole family. So that's fantastic. Balance, carb, fat, protein. Now even my parents understand the basics of diets. My whole family transformed. Thanks, JC, so much, and company. Being a mechanical engineer, I work in core industry, but since I got transformed at Fitter, I've got interest and goal to become a fitness expert. So you're going to take this guy out and you may have the Mechanical Engineering Society coming down to you for stealing their people and start working for you. JC, what makes a good leader? What makes a good leader, as you are?
I think so. Again, this is my understanding. Over a period of time, when you think, when you're physically fit, when you don't have any physical problems, you spend a lot of time contemplating the big questions, the existential questions, and that's when you transition from just a normal regular workaholic guy to a guy who's constantly thinking and asking questions. Hey, what am I doing here? What exactly is the purpose of my life? And when you come across these questions, you realize that life is what you think it is. So everybody has a role to play, and somehow you can be whatever you want to be. And in this lifetime, I realized I can be a character who's out there trying to help people not just get fit, but also people who are socially better. So this is a character that I'm living. It's my role in this life's game. And
you're real. And believe me, I don't mean to patronize you because I don't. Because if I didn't think you're real, we wouldn't be talking right now. It's as simple as that. Listen, you could, if you applied yourself and you wanted this as a goal, you could probably go to Bollywood and be in movies. And that. Well, no. The thing is this: the thinking that you need to do that. See, people are afraid to speak their goals or what they really want to do deep down. You took a huge risk here. I bet you you were with a good company, a solid job, dialing it in. You're going to get this, you're going to get that. By the time you're 50, it's going to be this, and you're going to have kids. But something was unsettled in your head probably where that wasn't enough or it wasn't right. But too many times people take the safe route, and then, what you don't want to have when you're an old man is regret. So I think what you do, these things that you do, these big things, and all the people you help, you're negating regret. You're not going to have totally zero regret. There's going to be something, but you want to come close. When I worked in the hospital years ago, many scads of elderly who were dying, I would always ask them, and they would always have regrets that they didn't do what they really wanted to do. So yeah, a lot of bodybuilders that I've worked with, they want to be actors. They don't do the right things for that to happen, number one. Arnold, Stallone, and The Rock, why did they make it in the movies? And they're very muscular because they develop their character beyond the muscle. And people they have more than just that. They offer, You know what I'm saying? They were able to self-actualize on the desire of what they really wanted. And I think that's what you do with the folks here, because ultimately they start getting in shape. You know, they totally transform themselves, and it creates a different mindset. They all of a sudden they see all these potentials they have. Is this correct?
Fitness, like I said, it's a stepping stone for something much bigger, much larger. Once you rid of your physical limitations, you explore your mental potential. And once you start exploring your mental potential, you realize how much more you can do. So, you know, I was lucky that I got an avenue as fitter, you know, where I can talk to people. So fitness is just a mean to an end. Like I said, I'm playing a part of a character who just wants to help people. And this is a role which I feel is giving meaning to my life. And again, you know, life's meaning is like whatever you decide what your life has to mean. So in this lifetime, I have decided that my life must mean of that of a guy who's helping the society and making people fit. So that's you know,
when you talk, you make me feel peace. You know what you do. You know, I'm going to tell you, my assessment is what you do with people, not just about losing weight and adjusting macros. You're removing the structures that have become shackles, and you're offering freedom. Freedom. Once I know it sounds kind of esoteric, but you lose this extra and build yourself up and have that command of physicality and mind, it's freedom, right? A couple of things. JC is honest, real, and transparent. Lavina, once again, Karuna, Katwani, empathy, Yash Kashik. Michael Ducey, you should read an article. I probably have. I stalk JC. He doesn't know that, but I do. I watch the people who are successful do as they do. Read an article written by JC Sir back in 2015 titled Purpose. Purpose is Purpose. Yash, where do I find that? Nikita Mohite, thanks both of you for this session. We're honored that you're here. Thank you very much. Bismaya Bihara, JC is a good leader as he has won good people. He earned by coaching them too. Proper system, processes, tools, most importantly, the vision. The vision. So where do you see yourself? Talk about that 50 million people.
Back when I started out with this vision, I really didn't.
JC, for people who don't know, explain that, because I just threw out the number 50 million. What does that mean? What is the goal on that?
Okay, the idea is to make 50 million people on this planet fitter than they are right now. So that's the idea. It touch the lives of 50 million people, transform them, make them free. Like you said,
right.
Tell them what freedom is, true freedom. So
and someone like Sunil Shetty, he saw what you were doing the whole time. He saw a lot of value in it, so he wanted to join on this journey, right?
Yeah.
So the building of the business, you do have physical locations. They're gyms, if I'm correct, right?
Not really. We are primarily online. We do have some centers in a couple of cities.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I saw a few of them popping up, so I didn't know how prolific that was. So that was just a few people opening centers, right? But you're not really looking to.
No.
So you obviously you're having enough success, because I've heard here the nutrition's okay, but sometimes the training and some of the trainers online have a hard time conveying, you know, ideas and correctness and whatnot. But you guys have gotten around that.
I mean, again, you know, I personally feel that the technology is so advanced that you can really utilize it to bridge the gap between two people who are physically distant. And by no means I'm supporting the fact that people need to go from a real world to a virtual world. But I'm just saying it's more efficient, because if you are sitting in the US, I'm sitting in India, and if I really, really have to connect with you, then this is the best possible way to connect with you. And so from a very long time, this is what technology is trying to do. It's trying to connect people, more and more efficiently. So as we move from the offline space, we move more towards the online space. And then you have augmented reality, you have virtual reality all coming in. But with one central idea, how can you be there without actually being there? What is it that makes a person's presence so vital? And I think this is what we are trying to integrate when we say, hey, you have to do specific body movements. I mean, what is it that a personal trainer does in the gym in reality? Can you try to mimic the same kind of efforts online? Turns out we can. When you start out, it feels like, now, how is that even possible, or is it even possible? But once you get into the system, you realize that not only it's possible, it's actually more efficient. And the fact that it can connect you to from people from remote areas, not just limited to local geography, it's even more amazing. So
that's very interesting, and I want to juxtapose first Sayak D. A good leader has a vision which transcends boundaries. That vision is for the greater common good and unselfish, and he is so invested in that vision, he gets equal value. Folks envision the same. This is JC all the way around. Yeah, technology, and you mastered it, and you're going with it, and it's growing and it's changing. But at the same time, wouldn't you agree? And when I say wouldn't you agree, it doesn't mean you have to agree. Sometimes people, they think I'm setting them up. They have to agree with me. Absolutely not. I seek dissension because I've got to learn something new every day. I know very little. What I know really well, but it's not a lot. I would be fooling myself if I said I did. But if you look at guys, you take the world of bodybuilding, that's how it started. And we're all bodybuilders. We're building the body. We're even like if it's just a middle-aged woman who's heavy, you're trying to fortify your body. So I'm not competitive bodybuilding, and you understand that. But if you take, let's say, bodybuilders from the 40s and the 50s, when it all started, the original Mr. Universe and all that, the same tenets and scientific premises. Evolution is very slow. It takes 1,000 years for the human body to change or adapt. So we're talking only 50 years here. So basically, the same biomechanics and nutritional principles and whatnot that applied back then still apply now. Would you agree? I mean, you got to kind of hold true to that, even though technology is changing. So you try to balance both of those with clients.
Yeah, I mean, the principles remain largely the same. Like I said, eat less, eat right, and move more. That's the fundamental thing, and this was valid 10,000 years back. It is valid today, so that hasn't changed because the human physiology hasn't changed much. So
but what do you do when a person, because you have many clients throughout India and the world. Some of them are looking for, they've come to you, they've paid good money, and like we said earlier, it's very hard to get people to open their wallet. They're looking for a secret, aren't they? Oftentimes. They're looking for, you to pull the curtain back, and this is what you really have to do. What happens when they find out it's really just hard work? Hard work.
I think it's so that's why we don't do any kind of marketing. That's why we tell people that there's no secret. The stuff that you get after paying money is pretty much the same stuff you get, when you don't pay us any money. The difference is that there's a person who's going to talk to you, and that's it. So people don't pay for diet and training. They really pay us for an individual's time. The individual who genuinely cares about them, he speaks to them, he kind of motivates them, inspires them, and that's what they're really paying for. I personally feel that in the age of virtual societies, people are missing these connections. The human connect is missing somehow. And while we always put a lot of stress on technology, if you think about it, technology is just a mean. It's to serve humans. It's not to replace humans. And we have to bring that humanity back. We have to, again, put humanity on a pedestal and pitch that as a service, not necessarily the technology. So technology, we give it away for free. But if you want to see one of our coaches.
That's amazing you say that for a couple of ways, primarily humanity and human interaction, and you're mastering it through pixels, through internet. So it doesn't have to be person to person right there, and you master that. So I think that's probably one of the greatest things you've done. CA Rachak Jain, there's no way all these people. You've got tens of them. I mean, if you did, you're like Rain Man, if you've ever seen that movie. Only JC is the only one I know of. He's the most generous guy, a great visionary. See, the people, you know why? One of the basic tenets of business, the reason, when I was a doctor in a neighboring town, there were 20 other doctors. And some people would say at first, hey, this is parallel with your business. Why choose JC? Why choose Dr. Dusa? The number one reason a person chooses you is because they like you, they like you. You resonate with them. And I see that with every single person. We haven't had any enemies come on here, which is good. Everyone likes you. and they could see that you really care. Manajit Singh started as a regular member in the group by reading all the free info there and got transformed. Like we were saying earlier, some people they just use the free info, they do it on their own. Later, as a payback to what I got from the group, started helping group members. That's what Fitter has taught me, the payback to society. That's you. And helping people. Even my INFS courses were sponsored by JC, sir, and went on to be a coach. Huge respect and always indebted to him. And as he says, it's the human touch that should stay on. I'm reading a lot, but I think it's important we do, because it's important people know that this is real. What about, do you get support from your wife? She supports your business, and it's probably a lot of hours you work, is it?
Yeah, most of the time she's just frustrated how much I invest my time and money in all these kind of things. But I think if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here, and
wow.
It would be an understatement to really say how much she has helped me over the last few years. And I'm a tough guy to work with. I'm not really an easy guy to live with or
really.
Work with. I'm a very, very difficult guy, and so she handles me perfectly. And I'm just blessed that I have a lovely wife. Even my family and my daughter, everybody is like, they complete me.
Talk about your daughter. I love hearing that. I'll talk about your daughter in 1 second. But my wife here, she's assistant attorney general here in Connecticut, so she has a big position. And her friends up in Hartford, where she works, they say, "How do you put up with him?" Meaning me. You're driven, but I think that's okay if people know what to expect. Like I like to say this: I'll deal with a-holes all day, because as long as they're consistently a-holes, then I know what to expect. So you're consistent, you're a known quantity, and you have to be that quantity to get things. One of my favorite words, done. You get it done. You're not thinking about it. You're not working on it. You're not planning it. Done. That's all. You got it done. Dishant Abrol, from an obese individual to a fitter coach. That's amazing. This journey has been awesome, and this person's still enthused, and getting the opportunity to touch more lives is something which has given. These people sound just like you. You're creating an army of JCs. Your daughter, does she, like, I don't know, do you have McDonald's there and all those types of places like the kids like? Does your daughter eat that type of food, or do you have it in the house, or you let her have it here and there? She doesn't even know about it.
I mean, she definitely knows about it. She goes and buys those Happy Meals for the toys, but she does not eat any junk. She doesn't even eat cakes, and like
really?
She does not. People try to force feed her cake, but she didn't. She just eats the same food every single day, and it's just because she watches me. And it's not like
wait. What people are trying to force cake on? All you got to do is flash those abs, man.
Now, my office guys. So one time we were celebrating her birthday in my office, and we had people, and she cut the cake, and then how office guys are. They're like crazy, and they're like all. So they were trying to feed her cake. She started crying. She said, "I don't want to eat this."
That's got to be a first. That's going to be a first in history. She was crying because she didn't want cake.
No.
You got to produce a program for that. You can produce kids that don't want cake. They're going to be in shape. Listen, we've got kids here now. They're already obese, little kids. We take walks in our neighborhood. We don't even see kids outside playing anymore. Like when we were younger. It's a bad thing. You're investing. Listen, you've been out of shape since you've been an embryo. I mean, I know it sounds a little nuts, but it's dangerous. So tell me, we're doing good here. We've covered a lot of ground here. We're gonna finish up soon, but I thank you for your time, because that's the most valuable currency. Everybody knows that. So these prizes you give out, I see like motorcycles here and there, other items, cash sometimes. That's just an extra, right? That's not really the primary focus for anyone, is it? Or why do you do that? Just to generate more interest or enthusiasm?
So for the last few years, what we are trying to do is we are trying to improve the reputation of fitness industry. We are trying to add some glamour to fitness industry, and the reason why food and fashion is considered up here, like they enjoy a much better status compared to fitness industry, is because the glamour factor is missing. Because you have shows and television stars coming about talking about their dresses and food and all those things, Nobody's coming out and talking about fitness. We have been trying to change that, and it's changing gradually. So unless until you add something, like you add in a layer of glamour, you add in a layer of success, sometimes like, for example, I understand the importance of fitness, but an average guy who's just joining in fitness, they will not understand. They need something to look forward to, because they have so many things. It's like watching a channel. You have Netflix, you have hundreds of movies coming out. You'll not go for the first right thing. Like, you wouldn't watch the right thing immediately. You have too many distractions. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to attract them, and then once they settle in, you gradually move them towards the right thing. So think of it like
that's brilliant. And do this for me. Define fitness for me.
Fitness is like it's basic hygiene. Like, you should be able to move. You should be free from any sort of physical, physical disabilities, physical, problems, so that you can focus more on thinking. I think the most important body part that we have is right up here, and you can't use it unless until everything down here is in order. So you have to get everything down here in order to use this to the maximal capacity, because every amazing idea, every amazing thing that humans have built, it was always created here, and then you work towards it. So
two very successful people, you probably heard of them, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. No matter what people think about them, they're very successful. And they were asked independently, what was the number one factor to their success? And they said two things, and it's reflective of what you just said. Number one was focus. They're able to focus on one thing, just laser beam focus. And that's kind of like what you just said. You offer this prize, motorcycle cash. It allows them to focus on themselves to get to that point. And they also said deep thinking. Like Warren Buffett says, 85% of his time is spent thinking deeply. His wife used to say, "You think too much." He goes, "Well, are you enjoying the jet that we're flying on? This is why we're, So, it's important to cultivate this, and then this comes next. It's something that you say very interesting. I've seen you write this a couple of times. You present this to your people, and I may screw it up a little bit, but you say, Yash Kaushak just wrote a nice long passage here. You said the number one thing coming up on the horizon is the fitness industry. Yeah. You do believe that. It's not going to flail, it's going to continue to rise. So you're heartening people to get in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if you think about it, and again, I'm not taking cue from what exists right now. I'm talking about the future. If you think about what really makes a big problem, what really makes a big industry, is how big the problem is. Manufacturing was big when everybody was trying to make something. Then pharma became big when everybody was falling sick, and everybody. So it depends on the size of the necessity. If the bigger the need, the bigger the industry, the bigger employment. And so if you think about it, what is it that we are facing today? What is the biggest problem? Lifestyle diseases. As per WHO, almost 1 billion people on the planet will be suffering from lifestyle diseases, not critical illness, lifestyle diseases. How do you fix lifestyle diseases? By fixing lifestyle. And who can fix that lifestyle? Coaches.
Right.
Through inspiration, through inculcating good habits. So if you are looking at 1 billion people suffering from poor lifestyle choices, and the solution is to fix these lifestyle choices that somehow comprise the part of fitness industry, correct me if I'm wrong. What is there to say that, fitness industry would be the next big thing? Because you're looking at 1 billion people who are looking for solution, and a fitness industry is providing that solution. I'd say that's a pretty big industry out there.
I agree, and it's so powerful, because when you say these lifestyle disorders or diseases, they're preventable. It's just you've got to steward your own ship. They're preventable, and look, like you probably remember Ronnie Coleman, the Mr. Olympia, the biggest guy ever, and I love Ronnie. He's a great guy, nice guy, but he destroyed himself with his training. He's like, he's my age, and I don't know if you see him. He uses a walker now, 8-time Mr. Olympia. And young guys will say, they cast caution to the wind. Maybe they don't eat right, or they train too hard, too heavy, and they'll say, oh, it's worth it. Ronnie has something called chronic pain, and chronic pain, I've seen it many times in practice. It's so bad. Chronic means it never goes away, and it'll test you. It'll change your personality. It'll wear you down, and that's something you can control. Kind of a parallel to what you're saying. You're eating poorly. You develop diabetes. You develop diabetic neuropathy. You lose your vision. You have these neurological problems with your legs. And all these, a host of other problems. And you are trying to engender goodness in the health public trust by doing this, which I think is very important. But it's a tough battle. I think what you're doing it with pockets of people, well circumscribed groups of people who are influencing others. If you try to speak to everyone, it's just awfully hard to do that. Gaurav Kumar, nothing succeeds like success. JC has proved it and helped thousands getting fitter. A genuine person, very clear mindset, respect. Success is very important, and a lot of people feel that they're never successful. They're beaten down. There's a tendency for the people who are really rich and famous to make the other people feel less, and you don't do that. You try to lift them up to where you are, right?
Personally, the only reason I'm doing well for myself is because sometimes you have to be at a certain point where people can pay attention. I mean, if I was just a random guy, living in some like a lowly place, or let's say I didn't do good enough for myself, it would be hard to justify that by doing these kind of things you can really be successful. So it's just simply walking the talk. Even though I don't enjoy sitting in a luxury car or a luxury home, because I'm wearing the same clothes almost every alternate day. So I'm not really a kind of a guy.
I like how you rock that shirt, man. I have the same shirt. I grabbed the wrong one. I wanted to dress like you today, but it doesn't mean I'm going to look like you. I don't know if I can stand. In the summer, it's funny with the lockdown. Every year I train for my birthday. My birthday's in September, and this year I haven't gone to the gym in 2 months, so I'm kind of off right now. But ordinarily, I try to. It's parallel to what we're saying. I try to stay lean because I'm selling the people what I practice myself. I don't think there's anything wrong with you living in a luxury house, luxury car, because you're doing it in an incidental way. Meaning, it's just kind of a byproduct of what you do, and it shows people you did it. They can do it because you convey that to them. You don't have this air that you have some special something or other, and you don't speak down to people, right?
No, everything that we do, everything is very, very transient. The whole life itself, the people we meet, everything is transient. That means you don't take anything. A lot of people even build statues, but if you think about it logically, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's just you are wasting away your life. You're wasting away. You're chasing vanity. So once you think about all these things, sit down and think about all these things, you realize that none of these things are actually meaningful, and you're just this character, and you just want to get over with it, and you do what you have to do to live through the day, and that's it. So I've assigned me this role responsibility of a guy who's trying to help people, and that's it.
Would you say you have gained peace at a young age in your mind? Because you're 35, 36?
We're currently running 35.
Okay. But would you say you're at peace with what you do, in other words?
Not really. Most of the times I'm conflicted. I'm often I wouldn't say I'm doing any better than an average Joe. So I think no matter where you are in life, at any point of time, you will always be conflicted. You will always be confused, and you will always be finding yourself chasing one thing or the other. Like today, I'm chasing the big questions, existential questions. So I ask myself, what more can I do? So there's always something that you are chasing at the end of the day. So I think nobody.
I have a very important question for you. And one of my idols, Sylvester Stallone, even says it. He says once he has like a big movie come out or big success, whatever it might be, as successful as it is, he still has this feeling of emptiness, not a necessarily bad way, but a feeling that he has to do more. when you have a big success, something succeeded in an event, a client, business, do you have that feeling that it's not much, or you didn't do enough, or you're waiting for that other thing to happen? Do you have that feeling?
Always.
Yeah, isn't it? I have it too. And you know what? Can I give you some advice? Not that I'm speaking down, just by virtue of I've been on the planet longer. That could be stress. Don't fight your stress, because fighting stress will give you more stress. So go with your stress. Understand that that's always going to be there. You're one of the, you see, on this planet, you are a builder. See, there are producers and consumers, and I'm not berating people for being consumers. Some people, that's just how they are. They're going to exist. They're going to have maybe a happy life. They're going to do, but they're going to wait for a person like you, for them to plug themselves into your system. So you're always going to be a builder. There's no escape. No escape for you. There's no other way. Because if you try to escape, you will be miserable. You have to keep yourself over this fire. And as long as you accept that, then it's not so bad. Not that things are bad, but sometimes maybe in your deepest, darkest, most private moments, when you're laying in bed and you can't sleep, and you're thinking, all of a sudden it hits you. Oh my God, 850,000 people are wondering what I'm going to tell them tomorrow. Am I going to be on the right track? Or are they all going to, do you ever think that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the things that keeps me going. While I'm not somebody who dwells in the past, but it's always good to look back and see how far you have come. And I think it's important from getting a perspective on how little we know about life. And I personally feel I was non-deserving of everything that came my way. And I've done some stupid shit. I've done stupid mistakes in my life. But
me too. Yeah. Don't make the mistake that ends you. Make those mistakes, and they'll push you. Like, I fail, but I'm not a failure. I fail daily. With the big picture, no, never, because I'm still here and I'm still happy and I'm working towards. But if you think you're not going to fail on these little things, it's going to be a happy. People who think they're going to be happy all the time, they're going to be unhappy, because that's not possible. What you're doing is you're building a bed of contentedness for yourself. Contentment, and you're cultivating this fertile ground where you can be happy here and there. There's happy moments, that you look forward to. And some of your clients, they probably think that whole thing is once they finally get that body, they're always, no, that's you're supposed to, listen, I got news for you. You're supposed to be in really good shape. God or whoever your creator was, they didn't want you to have all this extra stuff on you're supposed to look like you, You're not. It's not like you're doing something extra. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It's just daily chores. That's it. Nothing more than that.
It's a daily thing that you plug yourself into. Listen, I've kept you here for a long time. I don't want to get you in trouble in a household, because I know in India it's almost 8 o'clock right now.
No, that's okay. It's 7:30. I'm alone, all by myself, so that's fine.
You're home alone. Don't get in any trouble. We had a lot of people come on. Is there anything you want to add? Hey, listen, if somebody wants to come to Fitter and join or become a member or get a coach, what do they do?
So we have a group on Facebook called Fitter, FITTR. So you just send in a request and start by reading the group units. It explains everything about Fitter. It explains who we are, how we started, and you'll get your free diet and training plan. On top of that,
I'm sorry, JC, explain that. They get a free diet and training plan just to start out.
Yeah.
No kidding. How's it free? Like, is it tailored to them, or is it like kind of it is?
Yeah, tailored to them. Yeah. So they get customized diet and training plan. It's generated through technology. So not really manual effort. So that's why we give it away for free. So we plugged in the algorithm once, and that's it. So it gives you a custom diet and training plan.
What is that meant to bring them to either get results or to push them along to get a coach and hire a coach through you?
Not really. So most of the people get results just by using the diet and training plan because they cannot afford. The idea is that fitness needs to be democratized, which means that whether you have money or you don't have money, you should have access to everything that's provided to the people who pay. So that's the idea. Like, everything has to be available for everybody. The coaching service is primarily you taking somebody's time, and that time needs to have some sort of value. So if you take take, for example, if I have to consult with Dr. Dusa, he's not giving me a medicine or something else. He's giving me his personal time, and that time is what we charge for. Really, that's it. Nothing else. Everything else is free.
That's a great premise, and it obviously works. But the people who segue over to a coach, I'm just trying to understand. They want extra attention. They're trying to go that extra mile. In other words, some people, the free diet and the exercise is good enough, and they've made some improvement. Maybe they stay under the radar, for a year or two. I've had that happen. I don't do a lot of this. I select number of people, men over 50, usually higher, CEO types that, it's a different mindset. But I'll have them come forth. I've been here 4 years. Thank you. I'm like, thank you for what? I lost 100 pounds just reading this stuff. And that's great, because like you, I just put the information out there. There's not some holding company that charges. It's universal knowledge that should be out there and known. And I do that. But what brings a person to hire a coach in your organization?
I think people who don't want to read, people who are looking for hand-holding, people who really want somebody to tell them that it's possible. Like I said, everybody want to be, everybody wants to talk. They have so much to share. Sometimes they are dejected, and people go through a lot of mental trauma if they are really not in the shape, from their families, from their relatives, especially if you are overweight and if you're a girl, the kind of harassment that you go through, it's unbelievable. And I know that because I was obese when I was a kid. So
really?
I know I was. Of course,
no
yeah.
Hold on. Tell us about that for a second. No, really, in a serious note, because I started training in the 70s because kids would make fun of me because I go to school, my hair would be messed up. I was among some people who they weren't brought up well. And the Incredible Hulk was on TV at the time, Lou Ferrigno. So lifting weights in the 70s, listen, it wasn't the popular thing to do. You were disparaged by so you do it on your own. That was my why. But you were obese. Does that run in your family, or it was just the way you were eating? Or I can't imagine you. You always look so good, man. I see you got to pop. I got those pictures up from when I was sick. You've probably seen them, so I put them up there, just to let people know. But you when did you realize that this wasn't acceptable for you?
So I've been like, I wouldn't say my family is obese, but they are pretty like typical mom, dad. So they are pretty overweight. They used to be, not anymore. And so I grew up in a family which didn't put emphasis on working out. It was more on food and eating. So I grew up like a kid, and then over a period of time, I realized I was just getting fat, and I was often teased by my schoolmates, colleges, dresses that wouldn't fit, and. Really? And because like when you live in a family like mine, you don't just go ahead and buy new dresses. You still try to fit in the old dress, right. And then sometimes the dresses will tear from places where they shouldn't, and then people will start making fun of those things. So one of my friend, when I was 14 years old, he suggested me that I should stop focusing so much on eating and start working out. I took it very seriously to the heart and just went to a gym and started working out.
When he told you that, did you feel bad? Do you remember how you felt when he told you that?
Yeah, I don't understand the exact emotion. I don't remember the exact emotion which I went through, but I know for sure that when he said that, I enrolled in the gym on the very same day. So, but I'm glad that he did that. Yeah.
It's funny because over the years I had some people that really attacked me verbally. Many years later, when I had my weight loss clinic along with my patient clinic, those same people, because when people do that when they're younger, they do it so much they don't even know they're doing it. To you, it's very impactful, very hurtful, and some, in my case. So I remember the people, they don't remember, and they would come to me to lose weight. And what did I do? I helped them. Because what did we say earlier? You always want to win them over. As bad as a person is, to me, that to me is a victory. If you could win someone who's hostile over, because we're all humans. When the Martians come from the space, we're all going to have to bind together. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's what it takes to finally, You know what I'm saying? We don't get political here. We don't have to. But, ultimately, I like to make everybody around me as good as they can be because it makes it easier for me. It's fertile ground. But you did that. Here's something I want to ask you. Saurav Singh, he just put JC's short story, YouTube. I'm going to check that for sure. You're on YouTube there, man. You're famous. Come on. It's a good thing, though. You use that to influence a wider swath of people. Why not? You see all that potential for you. You mentioned women and your female client, your average female client versus your average male client. How do they present in different ways, and how do you handle them differently if you have to in order for them to get success? Culturally, is it different? Because here it is different with women versus men, as far as helping them. Are there any nuances that you have to attend to in dealing with them?
So, of course, there's inequality, there's repression and all those things. But I saw this brief interview of Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
and
great.
You remember that interview, right? And then he said, what do you think is the main reason and why people from other races are suppressed? Do you want to talk about it? And he simply said, you fix it by not talking about it. Absolutely. And so when you come to FITR, we don't see you as an opposite sex.
Wow, that's great.
We don't care if you're a male or a female. You're a person. You're a human being. You're just physically different. But it does not, we do not need to have a different set of attitude, or we don't have to treat you differently because you are a female or you are a male. I think the fact that everybody can coexist within the same moral principles, within the same philosophy, within the same alignment towards fitness, that's one thing which I think minimizes all the issues. So we don't talk about all these things which create issues. We don't talk about feminism. We don't talk about patriarchy. We say, hey, if you don't talk about it, probably we'll not face it. And I think again, these things sometimes when you talk about it too much, they kind of become issues. So in FITR,
that's a great point. They become mindful of it. I just want to bring it up because we don't do that either. I treat everyone, a human is a sack of cells. I know that sounds really basic, and what makes us different from one another is how we direct our brain chemistry, really. But ultimately we all have the same parts. We respond the same way, and I think that's a great way of looking at it. Here's a question for you. A person comes in. I had a woman, among many, but I remember this one, and she was a mother of 3 children. Didn't think she had any time. She was crying because she hated how she looked. She wanted to look like the woman on the soap opera on TV, and this is what she sees every day. And I says, well, your job is to bring your children up. That's your primary, because realistically, you don't have time to go on TV. You're not going to be an actress. That person on TV, you see, this is a problem we have to fight, because misinformation given out by, maybe people in the media and whatnot. That woman, I told her, that woman's job is to look a certain way. That's her job, to work out, to project, because it's very hard to look good on film. You've competed. I've competed many times. And when you go on film, it's a lot. Listen, that's the major focus, not taking care of your kids. So I try to tell her, listen, she said she had no time. I says, well, you know what? I don't buy that. If you really want this, get up earlier and work on yourself, because you come before your children. And as bad as that sounds, you cannot help your children unless you're solid. But so that's 2 things. You try to impress upon people who they say they have these things ahead of themselves, and also they want to look like Sunil Shetty. It's just not happening. I mean, how do you manage that with people?
I think one of the important things that the coaches have to do is to set the expectations right. I mean, and it's not that people cannot achieve that. It's pretty possible. But important thing for us is to make them realize that that's going to take some amount of time and patience and hard work. I mean, talk about Sunil Shetty. The guy has been consistently managing his physique for the last 40 years. Most of the people who are 60 cannot even walk properly, and he struts. He's going to be in one of the seminars probably next week. General like what we are doing, he'll be here. So probably we'd have an opportunity to learn more from him. But I've met him, and you can't really tell the difference between him and a 25, 30-year-old guy. That's how. And most of the people just underestimate, or they just blame it on their genetics. But the thing is, over a period of time, and this is again a universal law, if you put in the effort, you get the results. But you have to understand that without putting in the effort, you will not get the results. Fitness is like richness. You can't get rich quickly.
No.
You can't get fit quickly.
No. And you know, it's amazing. It's amazing you're saying that, because I talk about something called health equity. Health equity, you build that over a lifetime. For instance, you know, one of my degrees, respiratory therapy, I work with a lot of patients who had lung problems from smoking. And if you, theoretically, if you smoke for 1 year, you'll have 1 year's worth of emphysematous changes in your lungs. If you stop smoking, it takes about a year for your lungs. Your body's very powerful. It'll clean itself up. The immune system is amazing. You smoke 5 years, it takes about 5 years to clean up. It's an inverse relationship. You smoke 25, 30 years, you may not have 25, 30 years. So your health equity is damaged. How much do you put in? You know, listen, I applaud you if all of a sudden you're 45 and you've been in terrible shape your whole life. You could definitely get back. But some damage has been done that you may have to get around. You may have to live with it. Everybody's different. My hair, I'm 56. I don't have any gray. I have a little bit on the sides, but that's probably from genetics. My father didn't turn gray until he was 60. I just hope it stays in my head. Never mind, you know, the color. That's not a problem. But I think my lifestyle has always been, you know, mindful of doing good things for myself, you know, from bodybuilding and training and all that. So yeah, the health equity, I can leverage that. I could do a lot more. Like you said, Sunil is, you know, he looks like a 25 or 30-year-old. Yeah, Jack LaLanne. Are you familiar with Jack LaLanne? I hope so. All right, good. People your age and younger, they don't know who he is. But, you know, he was a guy, he opened like the first gyms in America. He had a TV show. But he said this. He said the reason a man at 55 cannot do the 50 push-ups he did at 25 is because somewhere along the line, someone told him, what are you doing with that? It's time to get serious, get a job, start a family. This is frivolous. And you stop. And when you stop using these things, listen, existing on the planet is hard enough. It's harsh. You know, you're going to have damage, the pressure from the atmosphere, breathing in the fumes, all this stuff, bad posture over time. You're fighting all that. But if you stop doing these good, you're going to build rust. That's why all of a sudden, but if you continue on, and you know, all the things being equal, you're not getting injured or anything, you should be able to do those same things when you're, you know, I'm pretty close to, you know, what I did when I was 22. Now, if my 22-year-old self, this is going to happen to you too. You're 35 and you're 55, you'll still be, you know, great. And you'll probably be better in certain ways because you'll leverage the information you glean from all these wonderful people you work with in the world. But I guarantee you this, when you're 55, your 35-year-old self is next to you, you couldn't take them down because you could be better, but in a different way. So there's no, you know, you've got to always be mindful of fighting that and staying vital. I think you should feel great until your final day when you're in bed and you're 90 and your loved ones are around you and you peacefully sift away. Is that going to happen for everyone? No, there's different things that occur and arise. But that's the mindfulness you must engender. You try to do that with people, right? I mean, you know, as far as the health equity.
Yeah. No, that's the idea. I think a lot of people do not think how crucial you know, personal health gets once they turn 40, and up until that point they can't really see the damage because, like you said, body is really, really resilient, and you can abuse it for years after years, and it will not give up. But there is a certain point after which, you know, the damage starts happening, and it happens so quickly that there's no really time for caution or, you know, getting back on track. So this is something which people, and I know this whole generation, a gap which happened because of which people stopped taking fitness seriously. But I think kids need to, we all of us, we need to tell our kids and family members to start paying attention back to sports and fitness immediately. It's critical. Like if there was a panic button, I'd press that right away. That's how bad the situation is right now.
I agree. JC, in India, it's a general question, but the school system, Because here they eliminated PE, physical education. We used to have gym, as a class, and you went outside and played sports and whatnot. Do they have that in the school system where the kids get out and they don't?
It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
It's inadequate what they have the kids do, or is it?
I think out of all the countries I've visited, Australia has the best culture, hands down, and probably Europe has a great culture of physicality, or what kids do there. It's amazing.
Really?
Compared to that, we are nowhere close. We have a long way to go before we can say, hey, our kids are going to grow into healthy kids. And I'm really scared. I'm scared for my daughter, because at the end of the day, and that's why we inculcate such behavioral, such kind of behavior, such discipline in our own lifestyle, so that she, before getting influenced by somebody else, becomes a good influence on them. So my daughter, for example, when she steps out, kids offer her chocolates, cakes. She does not eat any of those. And she says, my daddy is stronger. And I want to be like my dad. And I think this is exactly what we as a society have to do. We have to become examples for our kids. You cannot expect kids to, do what you couldn't done. You cannot put the burden of your failures on your kids. The kids have their own lives. What you can do is you can give them the best of what you have to offer. And so we are trying to live our life completely by being good parents, by being fit parents. We are eating right, and she will do whatever she has to. But we cannot.
What's the age of your daughter? How old is she now?
She's turning 6 now in July.
Oh, she's little. Congratulations! You're gonna produce more. Got to have a little male JC and jack them up.
Nah, just one is enough.
Your daughter. Listen, I've never had any kids, so when I die, that'll be it. My DNA is gone, and that's fine for the world. I don't think we need more of me. But your daughter could truly say, hey, my dad is stronger than your dad. That's like a thing in America here.
Yeah, she has caused a lot of issues. She does this with other kids.
What does she do?
Yeah, she does that. She goes out with other kids and she keeps on flexing and says, hey, my dad is stronger than your dad. She has done, and it kind of creates problems too. But
I'm not going to say that's funny. You never know who's walking up to you in society. I mean, I get that sometimes.
We have to tell her that, not to say these kind of things, because people are sensitive these days. And
I know that. You got to really, it's different, especially in my purview. My license plate on my car says Dr. Dusa. So people, the cops, I stay home, man. I'm like, never mind this lockdown. I'm home anyhow. Let me ask you a question. This is very important. And even in America here, you hear these statistics. I'm more of an autodidact. I learn on my own. I try to run my own lab, theoretically, where, studies, they're questionable. But, you hear studies now, they're saying 70% of people in America are pre-diabetic and they don't even know it. And that's probably, I don't know about the number, but it's very high. Just for the fact that people let themselves go. Do you see that as an issue in India as far as diabetes? Diabetes is very destructive. People don't give that enough consideration as far as what it can do. The type 2, especially, where you can control that. Do you see that?
Yeah, we are the diabetes capital. So we have 72 million diabetics already. And 72 million. Yeah, that's
wow. Right. That's about 8% of the population then.
I think 10% of the total population.
So what percent? How often do you see that as far as membership and your coaches dealing with that?
We have quite a few people. We have a lot of people. In fact, like I said, the 25 to 40 age bracket, not the younger guys. It's because most of the people are suffering from lifestyle issues or have big tummies, or people who have high blood pressure. Now, again, we don't claim that these things will get fixed. We simply tell them, hey, why don't you just try and follow a good lifestyle? And it's a lifestyle issue. So over a period of time, you don't focus on it. You just focus on right eating and exercising every day, and the issues vanish. And
that's
somehow
correct.
people say that, the issues got resolved. Look, we didn't do anything magical. Your body did it because you started treating it right. And that's
what you're really saying is, you don't treat the symptom, you correct the original problem, which is the whole premise of everything. If you really, the medical system, at least here, listen, I tell it like it is. They don't look for a cure to anything. They'd rather manage something. Listen, you're overweight and you have high cholesterol. There's a drug called Lipitor. It's a huge, it's one of the biggest, they want to keep prescribed. I hate to say this, but it's true. They listen, you cannot eliminate self-interest from a human, and people to stay in business, they're writing more prescriptions to manage high cholesterol, which will not go away because you're overweight. So they're not going to address. Your average medical doctor here in America gets about 10 hours of nutrition education in school, which is really nothing. They know very little. They know, listen, some of these guys are my friends, and they agree. They're good at writing prescriptions, which doesn't correct the problem. It only addresses the symptom. So you're there correcting problems. You're trying to get to the root of it all.
Yeah, I personally have the same opinion about healthcare. I think there's a huge conflict of interest because and doctors, they really do a hard work. It's really a difficult job. But at the end of the day, they get paid when people get sick. So it's not really healthcare; it's sick care.
That's correct.
It thrives on the fact that people will keep getting sick and sick. So there's no really coming out of it. Like, how do you? It's like it's a business which thrives on people getting more sick. If people suddenly shift to fitness industry, you don't have the need for pharma industry. I mean, I'm not saying that need is completely eliminated. I'm saying a large chunk of the revenue, the jobs are going to shift to fitness industry.
You're right, and I'll tell you something. What you and I do, more so you at this point, I consider it healthcare. I don't, the powers that be look at it as kind of frivolous. They look at it as you're just trying to appear a certain way. But listen, in the early 40s and 50s, training was called physical culture. It wasn't called bodybuilding. It wasn't called weightlifting. It was physical culture. And the guys back then, because coming out of the early 20th century, the early 1900s, there was a lot of sickness. There was a polio epidemic. People were just not thriving. The average age of death was like 50. So people started training for health. It was, and looking a certain way was incidental. That was second. They happened to get muscular. And then, of course, it blossomed into bodybuilding and all that. So I think, it has to get back to that, meaning, training, fitness industry, that's got to be considered as important and as serious as just regular healthcare, as going to the doctor, as getting a prescription, right?
Absolutely.
Do you see it happening?
It has to happen. Like I said, if there was a panic button on how bad the things were, I'd press it immediately. That's how bad the things are. If people are not fixing their health, look, today we have coronavirus, tomorrow we'll have some more virus or some more virus. A lot of people die because they have poor immunity to health, to different sorts of viruses. You have influenza, you have common cold. And we are living in a world which is very, very uncertain. A lot of people can't even walk properly because of arthritis, because of, knee pain, because of something as simple as kidney stones and all these things. I'm saying, look, these are critical stuff, but 90% of them can be fixed if you just start eating right and exercising.
So true.
That's
the average American family here in America has 17 prescription bottles in their medicine cabinet.
That's crazy.
And listen, I don't know where they get the stats. I don't know how accurate, but even if it's half that, but you see, the problem is people embrace that. They come to expect it. They get this this countenance of, that's the way it is-ism. No, because like you're saying, the most powerful drug is food. If you get that straight to begin with, listen, you may need a prescription every so often for an infection or something going on, but it's not gonna be a part of your panoply of what you do for the rest of your life. But that's what they've got people thinking, and that's what they do. Because like you were intimating, you're part of that economically driven medical industrial complex. And I don't know, I think what you're doing is great. Hey, listen, anything you want to add? So where are you going to be? I kind of hate this question, but I'll ask it anywhere. Anyway, where are you going to be in 5 years and in 15 years? Like when you're 40 and when you're 50, you still going to be with this company, or are you going to build it up, sell it, and go on to something else? What's the plan?
Well, the plan is, again, like I do have short-term plans. I have long-term plans. I think in the next 5 years, we'll try to achieve our target of making 50 million people fit. As now we are roughly touching that million figure, so it's 50 times that. So it's a really, really big plan. But I think we'd be able to touch that goal of reaching out to 50 million people and making them fit. And after that, I think I'm probably gonna set a bigger goal. I'd probably shift to teaching people more about how to harness mental fitness. For now, the physical fitness part is done. I get it. I can make people physically fit. If they come to us, they will get physically fit with guarantee. That's it. So we have perfected that system. Now the next part is, how do you completely get rid of your physical ailments and then focus on mental fitness? And then once you focus on mental wellness, so what we are trying here to achieve is the perfect definition of WHO, which is health as physical, mental, social, economical. And the last part of that is the social part, where we as a society become better. I'm more scared not about my kid's health. I know she'll grow up into a fit kid because we literally are inculcating those values. I'm not worried about her education because I derive all these values from my father, so she'll end up getting the same kind of education like me, maybe a little bit here and there, but I'm not concerned. What I'm concerned about is the society that she'll grow up into. That's something which I'm more concerned about. So I have to invest into how we can take this society, which is definitely better than what we used to have from 100 years or 200 years back, but to a society which will only focus on well-being of everybody, and not just the society which is run by capitalists and people who are greedy and just taking care of themselves on the expense of weaker section of society. I think we have to. There's a long way before we can say, hey, we are living in a good society. I would love to say that I live in a good society. Sadly, I can't say that. And so unless until I can say that we live in a good society, my daughter will grow up in a good society, I'll have to continue doing something. What that something is, I don't know yet, but I'll find out.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's good that you said you're not leaving, because you got a bunch of people here who will probably hunt you down and kill you because they love you. And I'm very happy that guys like you, really, I'm happy you exist. America, I love America, and you've been here, so you know the deal. And America's great and all that. And but a lot of people like to say, "Oh, America, number one, America's great." Well, the thing is, I'm running into less and less people who make it that way. Too many people are, they're stuck in a rut. They don't know what to do. They're afraid. But here you are, you're going forward with success, honor, confidence. You have this clear plan in your head. And again, like we were saying earlier, you don't have that fear. You're not going to have the regret when you're older. I think that's very, very important. We need people like that. And that's, ultimately good always wins over evil, ultimately, because you know what? We're still here. People say how bad things are. Some people are I think some people, when they're negative, I think it's encoded in their DNA. They don't have a choice. No matter what, it could be the best. They could have won the lotto. They're still, I say, listen, why even get out of bed? Because, listen, we're still viable. We're still alive. The fact that you're still alive, whatever the worst problems that you ever had, you got through it because you're here with me now. So unless it ends you and kills you, but still, you've got to be attuned to things because you've got your daughter to consider. And yeah, you made some viable statements. Listen, things are not great. And she's got to exist in this world, and you've got to do the best you can to make it better. But I thank you, man. Because you want to add anything right now? We had a lot of people. This turned out pretty good, I think.
Thank you so much for this candid interview. I think it's an honor, and always fun chatting with you. You yourself have been doing a lot of amazing work. So I want to say, guys, if you're not part of MTFU, please do join that. And Dr. Michael Dusa here is a good friend. Last thing I want to say is that see, most of us, we are born with some of the things inbuilt, like curiosity. Like all of us, when we are kids, we are curious, and that's how we learn things. Similarly, we are born with a body that naturally is supposed to grow into a fit body. If you just don't do anything, if you just don't abuse your body, you realize that your body will automatically grow into a body which is fit and free from ailments. Similarly, you have a mind, and you have a heart, and you have a soul, which craves good things. you're automatically drawn towards good things. So I'm saying most of the people fight this temptation because a few decades of poor learning from some of those greedy people have taught you that you have to screw other people to make money. You have to be selfish, you have to take care of yourself. That's all crap. In a couple of decades, maybe it worked for some people, but it will never work over a lifespan. We as humans, we have evolved by constantly making good choices. So all I'm saying is today is a good day to becoming a good person. Love people, don't hate people. You realize when you involve yourself in more positive stuff, good things come your way, and I'm a living example of that. Very average guy, shitty credentials, come from a small village, and I've come here all because I try to do good things, and that's pretty much it. Nothing else.
Are your parents proud of you? They're happy with what you're doing?
Yeah, sure am. I sure are.
Good. I want to come out to India. I want to come to one of your events or something eventually. I'd like to do that.
One of our events, which is happening in December, it's Connect. So that's where the entire community meets each other. Like everybody who's online, they're chatting with each other, their friends. So for the first time, they meet there, and we eat a lot of food, and we dance, and we party, and then just yeah.
My middle name used to be, it's not a name, it's a phrase. It's Michael, have no fun, do so. But that's going to change, man. Hey, listen, everybody, thank you so much. And yeah, you can join my YouTube page, MTFU Longevity over 50. I popped this video up. We got all the videos of, what I do is I try to find people who have really lived, they walk the walk and talk the talk or whatever it is. And they've lived very good lives through fitness. They've maintained good health throughout the years. JC's the youngest, but even still, there's people much younger than him that really need the help. And it's not too late because we mentioned health equity. And of course, all of JC's pages. I mean, he's already got almost all the people in the world on them. But he offers great information. It's all about finding information. That's the most important thing. There is no secrets. And I thank everybody here. I love the groups. I go on them all the time. Thank you for this brilliant session. Well, the brilliance goes to the young squire. Because us older guys, we get tired. We just want to sit back and watch other people shoulder the load. That's not true. I'm getting lean again, man. You and I pose. If I come out to Connect, can we have a pose down on stage?
I love that. Let me send you some VIP tickets for that. Absolutely.
Oh, that'd be awesome. No, really. I'll bring my wife. My wife will go, man. I'll have to. We'll have to have a pit stop in India or Italy because that's where she went to school. Thank you, Dr. JC, for your time. Informative, very useful. Thanks, Dr. Mike. JC, for such an awesome. Hey, you guys are great. Thank you so much once again. My YouTube page, MTFU Longevity over 50. Thanks. We're going to do some more work together. I love you guys, and I learn a lot from JC, and listen, hold on to him. Do not let him get out of the company. Don't let some other big corporate entity buy it. And not that would ever happen. It wouldn't. Because you guys are doing really good. And listen, there's no better day than today. What you're doing right now, perfect. Listen, when you're in these great moments, luxuriate and understand them. Because too many times when things are going real well, JC, you're always thinking that there's going to be a better day. And sometimes that better day is right now,
Everything is right now. There's nothing else.
I consider you a friend, and I don't have many. So listen, thanks again, JC, for your time.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's been a pleasure, and it's an honor knowing you. And thank you so much.
All right, my friend. I'll send you a message later on. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much. I'll do so, and likewise.
All right, pal. Take
care.